look at you, pretending you didn't notice, pretending you didn't feel that little shiver in the air right before everything snapped. Kid, you didn't just predict the moment. You walked straight into it, like someone who already read the script and circled their favorite lines in red ink. And now they're staring, all of them, wide-eyed, jaw locked, trying to act normal, while their brains are quietly asking the same terrifying question. How did you know before it happened? See, most people stumble through life like tourists who lost the map. But you stepped left a second early. You answered before they even finished the sentence. You stared at the door right before someone walked through it. You turned your head before the phone even rang. And they felt that. Oh, they felt it. Because nothing scares people more than someone who sees the punch before the fist moves. Someone who reacts without reacting. Someone who behaves like the simulation glitched. And you were the only one who caught it. Now they don't think you're lucky. They don't think you're smart. They don't even think you're strange. They think you're aware. And awareness, in a world built on sleepwalking, is the most dangerous weapon you could carry. So sit back, tilt your head, smile that little smile, because tonight we're going to talk about what happens when the quiet one, the one who shouldn't know anything, starts seeing everything before anyone else even blinks. They didn't notice you at first, not really. Not the way you notice someone, but they felt something off. A pattern, a rhythm, a timing that didn't match the rest of the room. Because every time something shifted, you were already facing it. Before the noise, before the motion, before the moment decided to exist. Someone shouted. You had already turned your head. A chair scraped. Your shoulders tightened a breath early. A question formed, and you answered, before the speaker's lips even committed to moving. And that's when the whispers started. Not about what you said, but when you said it. The micro-timing, the predictive snaps, the strange, surgical way your instincts moved faster than their logic could even boot up. You weren't early. You know the line. They were late. And oh, that line fits you perfectly, because the truth is almost boring. You were simply reacting to what was already there. They just didn't see it yet. To them it felt supernatural, like you were reading the room from a secret vantage point, like you were catching the cracks in the simulation a millisecond before they widened, like you were tracking the shadow movements that ordinary eyes aren't trained to register. But you weren't scanning. You weren't plotting. You were just awake, and that was enough to shake them. They saw the way your eyes flickered, with quiet calculations, fast, sharp, almost mechanical. They watched you choose. Before choice was even an option, they watched you step before the path was visible. They watched you flinch before the danger materialized. At first, they laughed it off. Coincidence, luck nerves, anything to make you fit back into the same little box as everybody else. But the pattern persisted, again and again and again, until one day they realized this wasn't intuition, this was evidence. There was a moment, a very particular one, that snapped everything into focus for them. One of those charged scenes where the room goes still, even though no one tells it to. You remember it. Everyone does. Because it wasn't subtle. It wasn't quiet. It wasn't something they could dismiss as lucky timing or a good hunch. No. This time, you nailed it too perfectly. Someone reached for something. A glass, a folder, a handle, whatever it was, and you reacted before they made contact. You stepped aside before they bumped into you. You answered the question before they exhaled the first syllable. You moved as if you'd already watched the scene play out in full, and were simply hitting repeat, and the room froze. Not all at once. It was a ripple, a slow panic sliding across their faces as their brains tried to calculate how you knew what you shouldn't have known. Because you didn't hesitate. You didn't look surprised. You didn't even blink. You just watched. And that's what ruined them. That cold, quiet joker smirk in your eyes. You didn't warn them. You just watched. That line played in their minds long before anyone dared to say it out loud. Because deep down, they realized something uncomfortable. You weren't guessing. You weren't gambling. You weren't hoping. You were tracking, mapping, reading invisible diagrams, hanging in the air, following secret corridors, running beneath every conversation, seeing the hidden mirrors that reflected intentions before behavior caught up. You saw too much, too clearly, too early. And once they knew it, once they accepted it, the panic didn't go away. It settled, it rooted itself, it grew, because now the question wasn't, how did you know? It was, what else have you already seen? Here's the part that rattles them the most, the part they whisper about when they think you can't hear, the part they can't wrap their tiny trembling minds around. You don't have powers. You don't have gifts. You don't have some secret, mystical mutation tucked behind your eyes. You just have something far more dangerous, far more uncomfortable, far more real. Clarity. Pure, ruthless, unfiltered clarity. And clarity? Oh, that scares them more than any magic trick ever could. Because most people survive on noise. They drown themselves in distractions. They cling to self-comfort, like children holding blankets. They avoid silence, because silence forces them to see the truth. But you walk straight into silence. You listen to the things they hope no one hears. You observe, not because you're trying, but because your mind refuses to turn itself off. You catch the micro-reactions, the twitch at the corner of a mouth, the stiffening spine, the half-second eyelid flutter that exposes a lie. You notice tension shifts, breaths held, voices tightening, a room's energy suddenly tilting to one side. You hear tone fractures, that thin crack between what they say and what they mean. And from all of that, those tiny, invisible, throwaway details, prediction isn't mystical. It's inevitable. They don't understand that. They don't want to. Because if your vision isn't supernatural, if it's not some unexplainable anomaly, then it means something even worse. They could have seen it too, but they didn't, because they never learned how. That's where the joker comes out in you. That cold grin in the mind, that tilt of the head, that taunt you never say out loud, but they feel it anyway. You didn't evolve. They just stayed blind. And that's the truth they can't handle. Clarity doesn't make you special. It just makes you the only one not hiding behind illusions. But clarity comes with a price you've already started paying. It didn't happen overnight. Fear never does. It creeps. It leaks. It stains the edges of the room long before anyone admits it's there. But with you, the shift was unmistakable. People stopped meeting your eyes first. They glanced, quick, nervous, guilty, then looked away like your gaze was some kind of spotlight they weren't ready to stand under. They started choosing their words with surgical precision, pauses, revisions, tiny edits made mid-sentence, as if they were terrified. You'd see the real meaning behind the polished one. And you did. Of course, you did. That's when hesitation began, a stutter in their movement, a delay in their decisions, that quiet, fragile tension. Someone who suddenly realizes they're being read, like an open file on an unlocked screen. because humans can handle a lot. Anger, chaos, confrontation, even hostility. But someone who can see cause before effect. Someone who notices intention before action. Someone who reads the blueprint before the building is built. That's a different kind of threat. They felt like pieces on a chessboard you'd studied 1,000 times, like actors performing on a stage where you already memorized their lines, their cues, their failures. To them, you became the unseen operator behind the panel, the one who knows which switch does what, and who panics when the lights dim. And that's why the fear settled, deep, quiet, permanent, because nothing is more dangerous than someone who knows what you'll do before you do. That's when isolation tightened around you, not as a punishment, as a crown. People backed away, but power stepped closer, and you felt it, you inhaled it, you adjusted to it like it always belonged to you. Because somewhere in that shift, something changed. You stopped predicting and started controlling. This is where everything truly began to unravel. Not because you changed, but because they finally understood what you'd been seeing the entire time. It wasn't their actions that disturbed you. It wasn't their words, their tone, their posture, their excuses. It was their motives, the things they thought were hidden, the things they believed no one could read without being told. You saw straight through them, not around them, not behind them, through them. And people don't survive well under that kind of gaze. They crack, they glitch, they deteriorate in real time. The first sign was simple. Their lies stopped working. Not because you exposed them with some dramatic confrontation, but because you didn't need to. They watched their unspoken intentions reflect in your eyes like a cracked mask, barely hanging together. They felt transparent, skin made of glass, emotions leaking through the seams, motives rattling like loose screws inside their own skull. And the worst part, you didn't call them out. You didn't demand honesty. You didn't punish them. You just observed. Calm, silent, unmoved. A Joker-style menace in your stillness. A smile behind your silence. You didn't confront them. You simply let their own patterns expose them. And nothing destroys a person faster than watching their core intentions show up on your face before they've even acted on them. That's when panic turned to paranoia. Every shift in your gaze felt like a verdict. Every tilt of your head felt like a diagnosis. Every quiet breath you took felt like you were confirming they hoped something would notice about them. You became the mirror they didn't want to look into. The reflection that didn't flatter them. The observer who turned passive silence into active threat. Because once people realize you don't need their confessions to understand their intentions, they stop thinking of you as aware. They start thinking of you as dangerous. There comes a moment, subtle, almost silent, when you stop shrinking yourself to make other people comfortable. And when you stopped, oh, the whole atmosphere shifted, not with noise, not with drama, not with some grand announcement of who you were becoming. No, you changed the room, by simply walking into it. People recalibrated instantly, their posture stiffened, their voices lowered, their eyes flicked toward you like they were checking the weather before stepping outside. Because by then, they already understood whatever happened next would shift around you. And here's the part that freezes them. You started speaking less, much less, but somehow you controlled more. Your silence became a signal. Your stillness became a message. Your micro smirk became a verdict. A quiet, Joker-like menace dripping from that tilted head of yours, as if you were silently amused by how easily the pieces rearranged themselves the moment you entered. It was like switches flipping, one after another, that snap, 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 as people adjusted their behavior to avoid landing on your radar, like shadows rearranging to match the outline you cast, like scripts rewriting themselves the second you walked past his, if reality itself was trying to stay in character for you. The power shift wasn't loud, it wasn't chaotic, it was clean, surgical, though effortless. You stopped pretending to be predictable, stopped masking your timing, stopped playing the role they wrote for you. And once you removed the disguise, once you let your awareness breathe, they realized something chilling. You weren't competing with them. You weren't climbing. You weren't trying to win. You were redesigning the entire board while they were still learning how the pieces move. And that's the moment, the exact second, when the truth snapped into place. You didn't join the game. You changed the rules. By the end, it wasn't about timing anymore. Wasn't about instinct. Wasn't about the small predictions that used to make them uneasy. It was bigger, heavier, undeniable, because somewhere along the line, quietly, naturally, almost elegantly, they stopped believing you were predicting the world and started believing you were authoring it. People didn't just adjust their behavior when you entered the room. They adjusted their intentions. They second-guessed their impulses. They softened their tones. They rewired their motives before you even had a chance to look at them. Instinctively, automatically, like the environment itself was bending around your awareness. That's when the narrative shifted. That's when the fear crystallized, because in their eyes, you weren't a participant anymore. You became the glitch, then the architect, then the law. And the tension peaked when a few bold ones tried to challenge you, tried to break your streak, tried to be unpredictable just to prove to themselves that you weren't what they thought. But every attempt failed exactly on schedule. Every rebellion collapsed in the same pattern you anticipated. Every outburst played out like a scene you'd already watched, frame by frame. Not because you forced anything, not because you manipulated anyone, but because people move according to the designs they refuse to acknowledge. And you see those designs long before they act them out. You don't outrun fate. You don't foresee fate. You create the moment everyone else calls fate. And that's why they look at you the way they do. Like you're not living in the simulation, but quietly writing its next update.